fintech which is comprised of, I mean, overall when we start looking at it, payments of course is the largest. And when NPCI started building the UPI and the products, people started building wrappers around those products, started creating multiple kinds of products around that. However, over last couple of years, what is very, very visible is that young entrepreneurs, which we see here, and people coming out of premier institutes, they start looking for newer avenues of innovation, and we see very, very interesting models which have started coming up. Something very interesting to actually state would be the way today electric vehicles are being financed. Now, lending and vehicle finance has been conventionally a very, very, traditional business. It's so easy, it's very easy looking that you go down, you just buy a car and there's an EMI for you. But I think people have started thinking hard on that. The batteries are leased separately on pay as you go, and the shell of the vehicle is leased separately, like a normal vehicle. So, and this is just one example. People have been actually finding out multiple such new innovations in the traditional businesses. As Hitesh mentioned about satellite data, we do a lot of work on agri, and it is very difficult to underwrite the risk on a farmer. And there are a lot of innovative startups who've been actually trying to collect data points about from the satellite data, from the crop data, or from the land data, and try to create the profile of a farmer to underwrite the risk. So overall, what I see is that the space is becoming very, very challenging. It actually picks your brain. It is no longer creating a QR code which can accept payments. You have to think very, very differently now. You mentioned about Global FinTech Fest, and yes, we do that. And one of the piece which drives it is the global participation. When we see various countries coming into that festival and looking for solutions which have been already solved here. So we of course do a lot of work in trying to provide solutions so the Indian entrepreneurs who have actually solved these problems here, possibly they can look into other countries and expand and put up their solutions in those countries which are like emerging economies. So I think overall, from a perspective of innovation in the startups, in the fintech ecosystem, I think it is time to start looking for more innovative pieces in the traditional businesses, areas which are not yet covered, and there are a lot of them. There could be challenges around RegTech, around compliance, and those pieces, inclusion. Very little work has actually happened in India on those pieces, and we look forward in next few years we'll have more entrepreneurs actually creating those kinds of solutions. Akash.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. You've kind of left it on a very interesting note of inclusion. The RBIH also has been particularly working to enable financial inclusion, you can say, for the next $500 billion for women as a segment, and also working at the intersection of cutting edge emerging technologies. So we're trying to really accelerate the growth within the fintech ecosystem. So to sort of take a detour into the most sort of interesting aspect for any potential entrepreneur is funding, fundraising, investment. So we have on the panel a VC who's actually invested in the fintech space himself through his fund and otherwise. So my question to Mr. Prateek is, at least what we see from the outside is fintech is unlike any other sector that you see in the startup ecosystem. It comes with its own set of opportunities, challenges, and innovations. So keeping that in mind, as an investor, what do you look for while evaluating a fintech startup, and also sharing some thoughts on how fintech as a sector could be slightly different from, say, the traditional sectors that startups have been operating in lately.
Thank you. I'm great to be here. All of you. So, I'm sorry. I have a bad throat. I feel that firstly, fintech is dealing with a lot of customer data, a lot of banking, financial data, and which is more proprietary, and that is the reason everybody knows that fintech is very, very different than any traditional business where you are just not engaging with the brand to buy a product, but this is something which is a product which you buy, which is nothing but money, right? And you have regulated authorities, and any transaction in that affects your future life, affects your future credit history, affects your future behavior, which every bank or a financial services institution will look at, right? So, in simple words, buying a soap or a consumable item is very, very different than probably taking a loan or a credit card or an insurance product for yourself, for your family, or anything. And that's why you say it is building a credit history, right? You have a credit history which is Amazon, where what is the annualized or monthly business you give to Amazon and Flipkarts of the world. However, anything you do today with your financial data reflects even 20 years later. So that is the reason. Second is that I'm happy that the regulators are looking at it in a very fast, different, and very specific way. So there is hardly any gray area to how the trends are moving, how the regulator is expecting stakeholders in this startup ecosystem to behave in a certain way, to own in a certain way, to develop certain standards in all of these ways. And I think what I look at in fintech is my core, right? I've been in this business for, I think, about 20 years, 22, 23 years, right? I remember handling and sending data to bureaus probably in 2008, and then reporting credit policy, etc., etc.